Do you ever find yourself watching your favorite Japanese costume drama, anime, or reading that manga you really love, and all of a sudden the characters go into a tiny room, kneel on the floor, and start using all these weird things to make tea? You might think to yourself, what are these things? Today, I'll talk to you all about these things that we call tea ceremony utensils, or Sadōgu. There are hundreds upon hundreds of these tea ceremony utensils, but today I'll talk you through the main ones as briefly as I can. I could sit here and talk for hours about them, but my editor, won't let me do that. Without further ado, let's get started. In English, we say the phrase tea ceremony utensils when we want to talk about the objects that are used within a Japanese tea ceremony. In Japanese, however, the word is Sadōgu, or simply dōgu among Chakin. So today, I'll start by talking about Chawan, and then I'll move on to Chasen, Chashaku, Kama, Mizusashi, Natsume, Chaire, Chakin, Fukusa, Hishaku, Futaoki, and Kensui. I'm beginning to realize that that's quite a lot of things, so I'll make sure to include chapter markers in the description. So, let's begin with the Chawan. Obviously, the focal point of the tea ceremony where all of the action happens is the tea bowl, or Chawan. Chawan literally means tea bowl in Japanese, but for some reason in modern Japanese the word Chawan also means rice bowl. So to make extra sure that you're talking about a matcha bowl, some people say matcha chawan or matchawan. But in the tea world we can just say Chawan and we know what we're talking about. Chawan come in a vast array of sizes, shapes and styles, and I could spend forever talking about that, but I won't for now. Maybe I should make a series about this. Today I'll focus on some of the defining characteristics of a Chawan and some of the features that are common to most if not all tea bowls. While Chawan do range in size from the absolutely minuscule to the absolutely gigantic, most are roughly the same size. The perfect size to hold in two hands, to whisk tea in, and to drink tea from. Unlike some Western bowls, all Chawan have a foot ring, also known as a kodai or simply a foot. This elevates the bowl off of the tatami mat and allows you to pick it up with one hand. The foot can tell you a lot about the Chawan. It can show you the skill of the potter who made it, or the clay from which the Chawan is made. Most Chawan have a front or a face. In Japanese this is known as the shomen. In some bowls it is a very obvious painting, design, or glaze effect. In some cases the Chawan has no obvious shomen, and therefore it is up to the host to decide which is the front of the bowl. Usually this is done by choosing an interesting piece of glaze or a feature in the clay.
I choose you!
Like almost everything to do with the tea ceremony, the Chawan originated in China. Before dedicated Chawan were made, tea was drunk out of rice bowls or soup bowls, but as soon as tea became a fashionable social activity, people started making dedicated tea bowls. This happened in Song Dynasty China with the creation of the Tenmoku Chawan. These were brought to Japan in the 12 to 1300s, and that's when tea culture really took off in Japan. After a while, the concepts of wabi and sabi were introduced to the tea room, and teaists started to gravitate towards the more rustic wares from Korea. They imported simple rice bowls, such as this Edo Chawan, and began using them in the tea room. Fun fact, one of these Edo Chawan was so large that teaist Fureta Oribe decided to break it into 4 pieces, sand it down, and glue it back together with an early form of kintsugi. As the aesthetic of wabi continued to gain popularity in Japan, the simple, humble, and famous Raku Chawan was developed by Senrikyu in collaboration with Chojiro, and to this day these rustic and humble Chawan remained emblematic of the tea ceremony. Moving away from the simple style of Rikyu, his student, Fureta Oribe, decided to distort the form of the Chawan and create these interestingly shaped bowls with abstract designs on the front. As Japanese ceramic technology continued to improve, other potters and artists began experimenting with overglazed designs, producing these colorful and beautifully executed paintings, especially in Kyoto. This is just a brief look at some types of Chawan, and if you want to learn more about the history and manifold styles and shapes of these bowls, let me know in the comments down below. Perhaps the most indispensable tool in the tea room is the Chasen, or matcha whisk. Made of a single piece of bamboo split into multiple tines, these are the perfect tool for whipping up your bowl of tea into a nice and frothy foam. Like Chawan, the earliest Chasen came from Song Dynasty China and were imported to Japan in the 11 to 1200s. The process of making a Chasen is incredibly labor-intensive and high-skilled, and there are only a dozen or so people left in Japan who know how to make them, which makes each Chasen an absolutely wonderful piece of art. Fun fact, Originally, chasen were made to be one use only. A brand new one was required for every tea gathering, after which it would simply be thrown away. Like Chawan, chasen come in a variety of shapes and styles, and if you want to learn more about some of these styles, you can check out our video here. If you want to know how to take care of your chasen to make sure it lasts as long as it can, you can check out my tips on how to do so over here. While it may seem like a simple piece of bamboo, the chashaku, or tea scoop, is one of the most prized utensils in the tea room. Many are given beautiful poetic names and stored in bamboo cylinders. One of the most famous examples is Namida, which means tears. This was the chashaku that was carved by Senno Rikyu to be used in his last tea ceremony before he commit ritual suicide, or seppuku. He gave this chashaku to his student, Futaoki, who named it Tears, for obvious reasons, and crafted a beautiful lacquer case for it, which was made in the image of a mortuary tablet. However, most chashaku aren't that hardcore. While most chashaku today are made of bamboo, historically they came in a variety of materials like bronze, silver, ivory, and wood. However, at least by the 1500s, bamboo became the most popular material to make chashaku from because it's readily available in Japan, easy to bend, and easy to carve. Historically, tea masters would bend and carve their own chashaku. A famous example is the pair of chashaku carved by Ueda Soko while waiting on the battlefield for the enemy to approach, named Tekigakure. Again, not every chashaku is quite this hardcore. Now, I'm no tea master, but here's one that I carved. On the bamboo tube that prized chashaku are stored in is the poetic name of the chashaku. This one is called petrichor, because, ooh. The signature of the person who carved it, and a symbol that means closed or sealed written across the join between the lid and the tube. That's a good sound. I've given this chashaku an asymmetrical kaisaki, or scoop head, as well as a hourglass shape, because why not? Most chashaku share a common anatomy. There is the kaisaki, or head, the fushi, or bamboo node, in the middle, and the kaidome, the end. While most chashaku have a node in the middle, some will have a node at the end, or no node at all. The most common chashaku have a round kaisaki, but some might have different shapes. Additionally, the node of the chashaku can be straight, or it can have a pronounced curve, called an arigoshi. I like ones with the pronounced curve because they can sit really well on the next thing we'll talk about, the Natsume. While the most common term for these is Natsume, which is the Japanese word for juju or jujubi, the more correct term is usuchaki, or chaki for short. This is because they are the chaki utensils used to hold the matcha used for usucha. If you want to learn about the difference between usucha and koicha, check out my video here. The name Natsume is so common because the vast majority of these are shaped like this, which resembles, approximately, the fruit. However, not all usuchaki come in this shape. As you might have guessed, they come in a wide variety of shapes and styles, from nakatsugi to fubuki to kininji, or this one, a miniature replica of the giant one used at Saidaiji for ocha mori. The vast majority of usuchaki, however, are in this shape, Natsume. They're made by taking a wooden or plastic or wood powder mixed with resin base and coating it with layers of Japanese lacquer or urushi. From the most basic styles, the shin-nuri or plain black lacquer Natsume preferred by Rikyu, to the more decorative styles with gold painting known as makie. Some types of lacquer are transparent and showcase the wood grain underneath, such as this one, which is shunkei-nuri. While they are used to hold matcha during the tea ceremony, Natsume aren't particularly airtight, at least by modern standards, and tea is only kept in them for the duration of the tea gathering. In addition to the variety of shapes, Natsume come in different sizes as well. These here are Chu Natsume, the most common size, meaning medium Natsume, but there are also Ko Natsume and O Natsume. While Natsume are mostly used to hold tea for usucha, a different utensil is used for koicha. While most people might gravitate towards the Chawan today, historically, Chaire, meaning tea put in, were considered the most important and highly praised tea utensils. They are brought into the tea room enrobed in a silk pouch known as a shifuku. While the method to take them out of the pouch differs between schools, the idea is the same. Undo the knot, pull out the cord, undo the gathering, and reveal the ceramic wonders hidden within. Like everything you've seen so far, chaire come in a wide variety of shapes and styles. So many styles that people had to make books documenting all the different shapes. Here is one such book from the 1600s. The original chaire were brought to Japan from, you guessed it, Song Dynasty China. And these original Chinese chaire remain the most valuable ones to this day. Because chaire vary so much in shape, each chaire has to have its shikibuku custom made to fit it. On top of this, historically, every time a chaire changed owner, the new owner would commission a brand new shikibuku. So for these historical museum piece chaire, they come with 3, 4, or 5, or even more matching shikibuku. Like Chawan, chaire generally have a shomen or front. This is usually marked by a glaze strip or some design of sort. The lid of the chaire is usually made of a different material to the ceramic body. In most cases, this is ivory, although today many can be found with various plastics or resins, or wood or even ceramic lids. The underside of the chaire lid is usually coated with a metal foil, typically gold. This one is copper, but historically gold was more common as gold was thought to keep the tea incredibly pure. When placing a chaire in its shikibuku, there are usually 2 ways to tie the knot. One for when there is tea in the chaire, and one for when there is no tea in the chaire. The Fukusa, there really is no good translation of that, so we're going with the Fukusa in English as well, is the emblematic tool of the host in the tea room. It is a almost, but not exactly, square piece of double-layered silk that is used to richly purify and clean the utensils in the tea room. In most tea schools, purple silk is used for men's Fukusa, and red or vermilion orange silk is used for women's Fukusa, although there are of course many exceptions to this rule. My Fukusa here bears the crest and cowl of my school and my Grand Master. Of course, the way that the Fukusa is folded also varies from school to school. Most commonly, you'll see the Fukusa being used to clean the Natsume or Chaire, as well as the Chashaku. The host of the tea room will usually wear the Fukusa on the obi of their kimono. In warrior class tea schools such as Enshuryu, Ueda Sokoryu, or Sekishuryu, the Fukusa is worn on the right side of the body, leaving a symbolic space for the katana on the left. For schools without swords, such as Ura Senkei or Moto Senkei or Moshana Koji Senkei, the Fukusa is worn on the left side of the body. In contrast to the normal Fukusa, Shikibukusa are made from elaborate brocades. These cloths are used to elevate the chawan during the service of koicha or thick tea. They usually come in 2 sizes. One that's just this big would be called a Kōbukusa, but this one is in fact an Obukusa. The other piece of fabric used in the tea room is the Chakin, or tea cloth. This is a strip of bleached white hemp or linen and is used to dry the bowl after it has been rinsed and purified. Chakin come in 2 main different styles of weave, the plain weave used by the merchant class tea schools, and the hodaori, or cool-looking weave, used by many of the warrior class schools. To use a chakin, it is slightly dampened. The excess moisture is then wrung out. The now slightly damp chakin can be folded and placed into the tea bowl. Of course, like everything in the tea ceremony, there are many different ways to fold the chakin. While not the most glamorous of tea utensils, the Kensui, or mizukoboshi, is an absolutely necessary addition to the tea room. For all the rinsing and washing and purifying of bowls, you need somewhere to dump all of that water. Like everything, Kensui come in a variety of materials, shapes, and sizes. This one is made of metal in a very classical shape, but they're also commonly made out of wood or ceramic. When you walk into a tea room, one of the first things you might notice is this thing. This is a Furo, which directly translates to wind furnace, although brazier makes more sense in English. The bottom half of this is used to contain ash and charcoal, or in my case, an electric heating element. This is used to heat the water that is housed in the top part, which is the kama. As you might have guessed, Furo come in a variety of shapes and sizes. This one here is a kimenburo. Kimen refers to these little gargoyle demon heads coming out the side. The types of furo can kind of be split into two main categories. One's like this, where the kama rests directly on the sort of neck part of the furo, which is the original style, or the more wabi styles, in which the furo is made of metal or ceramic, and there is a tripod embedded in the ash, and the kama is on top of that tripod. The furo is only used for the warmer months of the year. In the colder months, the kama is placed in a sunken furnace or hearth called the ro. Of course, during a tea ceremony, the kama will be full of boiling hot water, which means that this lid will also be really hot. So for some tea schools, you get to use the Fukusa to protect a hand from the hot lid. Now that you have this hot lid, you need something to put it on so you don't burn the tatami. One of these. This is called a Futaoki. This is a futa, a lid, and to place something, okimasu, futa, oki. I'm sure you're getting the gist by now, but like everything in the tea ceremony, they come in a variety of styles. The most basic ones are simple pieces of bamboo that have been cut to size. A distinction is made between those used for the furo, where the node is closer to the top, and the futaoki used with the sunken hearth or the ro, where the node is closer to the middle. Other than bamboo, ceramic futaoki or metal futaoki are also very common. Now that you have the lid off of your kama, you'll need something to get the hot water out of the kama and into your bowl. One of these. This is a Hishaku, which is a bamboo ladle used to scoop hot water from the kama and pour it into the chawan. Hishaku is made of two pieces of bamboo, the handle and the cup or go. In most cases, these are friction fit together, which means they can come apart when they are dry. However, when they are wet, the bamboo will expand slightly with the hot water, making this a watertight fit. Like everything, Hishaku come in a multitude of styles. This one with a smaller cup and the handle cut this way is used with the furo, and this one with a larger cup and a straight cut handle is used all season round. Another style with an even larger cup and the handle cut the other way is used with the sunken hearth. However, this is a relatively modern practice. Historically, tea practitioners would have used one Hishaku all year round so they could get used to the way that it pours and how much water it holds. The way that the Hishaku is handled is another major point of difference between different tea schools. For example, some tea schools will hold it like this, like a mirror, Kakami Bishaku, and other tea schools might hold it like this, almost like a sword. The way that it is put down on the kama after scooping the hot water out also varies. When the kama is closed, the futaoki is also used to rest the Hishaku on. The Hishaku is also used to scoop water from the Mizusashi. The second thing you'll notice on the mat in the tea room is probably the Mizusashi. Sitting next to the kama, it houses the fresh water used to refill the kama when it runs low. Mizusashi directly translates to water finger, but fresh water container is the translation I prefer to go with. Say it with me now, Mizusashi come in a variety of styles. This one is made of wood and is called a Magemono Mizusashi, designed by Sen no Rikyu, but they are commonly made out of various ceramic styles. In the case of ceramic Mizusashi, the lid is often made of lacquered wood if it is not made of the same ceramic that the Mizusashi is made out of. The one exception to this rule is when Urasenkei uses a gigantic leaf as the lid to the Mizusashi. One of the most famous Mizusashi is Furato Oribei's Yabure Bukuro, which means burst pouch. This is potentially the first use of kintsugi in the tea room. The story goes that Furato Oribei went to a kiln, saw this Mizusashi that had exploded in the kiln and decided, that's the Mizusashi for me. The potter said, well, you can't use this, it doesn't even hold water, there's a giant crack down the front because, you know, it exploded in the kiln. Oribei said, oh well, let me just fill that with lacquer. And then he put it in the tea room. At the end. Instead of fresh water, inside this Mizusashi, I have a Kōgō, the last utensil I'll be talking about today. The Kōgō, or incense container, is a bit of a bonus utensil as it's not one you'll normally see in the service of tea, but it is used when preparing the charcoal for tea. Kōgō come in two main styles, those made of wood or lacquered wood, which are used in the warmer months with the Furo, and those made of ceramic, like this one, which are used in the colder months with the Ro. Inside the wooden ones, you will place koboku, or incense wood chips, of sandalwood or aloes wood, and these are placed in the brazier to be heated by the charcoal and perfume the room. In the winter, however, you'll use neriko, or kneaded incense. If you want to know more about the different types of Japanese incense, you can check out our video here. As you can tell from however long this video ended up being, the tea ceremony is very complicated and there is a lot of depth and many layers to this cultural practice. If there's any specific part you want to know more about, please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please hit like and subscribe to our channel for future videos. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.